So I'm here today with Scott Johnson. I really wanted to get Scott's thoughts on yesterday's debate with Vince on the Always Marco channel. So good morning, Scott, for me, and good evening for you. How have you been?
Oh, doing great, Glenn. How about yourself?
Yeah, going really well. So I watched Marco's debate yesterday and found it really enjoyable. I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, certainly. Now, I haven't watched the whole thing. I've watched, let's see, 1 hour, 39 minutes and 35 seconds, and it's 2 hours and 19 minutes, 11 seconds long. So I'm about three-quarters of the way through. But so far, and by the way, when you called, they were just getting to the point of Amway's tool scam, and then you called. So I'm looking forward to seeing that part of it too. But so far, I mean, Vince just has just totally schooled Marco. I mean, Marco was so stupid, he doesn't get it. All the comments on the side, most of those people are just as stupid as Marco. It's just been a very entertaining video to watch because not only is Marco stupid, but the people making comments are stupid.
Well, I must admit, I was one of those people, so you probably thought my comments were stupid. But was there anything you thought that Marco got right, or did you think it was just a complete annihilation of Marco by Vince?
You know, I do believe you made a lot of stupid comments, Glenn. But um, I think the only thing that Marco said that made any sense, and I know he was quoting Robert Fitzpatrick, and I'm trying to remember the specific point that he was making, but Vince agreed with him too. I mean, it was kind of a minor point, but that's about the only thing I can recall that I agreed with Marco on because the guy just doesn't understand the basics. He's so stupid that he just doesn't understand what's going on.
Okay. What about the fact that Vince seemed to not believe the fact that over 99% of everybody in MLMs loses money? Now, that's a well documented fact, but Vince was unaware of that. And I think at one point he said he thought the loss rate was closer to 70 or 80%. Were you surprised that Vince was unaware of that very, very well documented fact of the 99% plus loss rate?
I don't I don't recall him saying that. Maybe it's in the later part of the video that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
Um, but I do know that the judge in the New York case, when the FTC tried to come in and talk about the 90 whatever percent failure rate, the judge trashed the FTC. The judge said, no, we have documented evidence that a lot of these people bought the products just for the discount. So if you go to a grocery store and buy something, do you consider yourself at a loss? And of course, that's perfect logic.
Mm.
And the FTC got flushed also. So I don't believe in that 99%, as we've talked about before,
Yeah.
because somewhere around two-thirds or three-quarters of the people who become Amway IBOs either don't do anything at all or they do one or two very minor things and then they disappear.
Okay.
And you can't count that as a failure because they never really tried.
But Scott, if people are joining for the discount, why does almost every single person that buys multi-level marketing products, Amway and other companies, why do they all stop buying them? I mean, if everybody who joined, let's just use Amway for an example, if every single person who joined Amway still continued to buy the products, they would be an absolute juggernaut here in Australia because there's been literally millions of people over the last 20 to 30 years that have joined the Amway Corporation, have used their products. But what happens is they quit because what happens is they join thinking they're going to become multi-millionaires. And then the second they quit, they don't just quit the business opportunity, they also quit buying the products. I think my dad's a great example of this. He's signed up 29 people over a 23-year period, and none of them use products anymore. So if Vince was correct and it was just a misunderstanding that people were joining these MLM companies just to buy products, just to get the discount, why do they stop using them? I can't think of another company that would have a lower rate of people continuing to use their products. I mean, we're talking over 99% of people that use the MLM products stop using them. Let's look at other companies. 99% of people that eat McDonald's don't stop eating McDonald's. 99% of people that eat KFC don't stop. 99% of people that drink Coca-Cola don't stop. So why do people stop using these MLM products that we're told are so amazing? If you could buy an amazing product at a discount, why would you stop doing that?
Well, number one, there are exceptions to that. My older brother is in Amway, and he's still an IBO, but he doesn't do anything except buy a few of the products.
Yeah,
and he
there's exceptions.
he has for years and years. So, like your father, in a very different context, there are exceptions. Number two, I was speaking to Neora. Now, I don't believe you've read the Neora court decision, have you?
No, I'm not familiar with that at all. But
So what happened with Neora, and I was referencing Neora, not Amway, okay? You changed the subject to Amway. I was talking about Neora. In Neora, the biggest discount for products is to be a distributor. So what these people were doing was they were trying to get the best discount. The preferred customer is not as deep of a discount as a distributor. And so a lot of these people were joining, and in fact, 30%, almost a third of the people who join Neora every single year used to be preferred customers, and then they became distributors. And Neora's customer numbers are very large. And so I have to believe the reason for that are a lot of the people are buying the products, and for whatever reason, they're enjoying them. Now, that distributor may have misrepresented the product capabilities. They may have lied about what the product can do, and because the FTC did not bring any information essentially to that trial, the judge was very reluctant. But she said, well, I really. She didn't say this exactly, but just if you look at the tone of her decision, she said, Neora really didn't bring much information, but the FTC brought even less. So I'm forced to side with Neora. Not that she wanted to, but because the FTC just completely blew it. And so there are companies out there that have, I guess you could say it this way, they haven't been proven to not be selling products legitimately. And it's because the FTC is so incompetent. They brought nothing to the table. They brought Stacy Bosley, who's supposed to be an expert, which she's not. She apparently gave some really bad testimony in the Success by Health trial also. I'm looking forward to that being publicized. But when you say that 99% fail, well, what if 2/3 to 3/4 of them never tried? How do you count that as a failure? How do you count a person that's buying products at a discount and they can get a better deal if they're a distributor, and they keep buying the products as a distributor? How can you count that as a failure?
Well, all right. Let's get back to what.
Answer the question. Answer the question, Glenn. How can you count that as a failure?
I don't, because quite simply, I don't think that over 99% of millions of people haven't tried, haven't made an effort. I know for a fact that there's a higher percentage than 1% who give it a real crack. They try as hard as they can. They prospect, they spend money on functions, they listen to tapes, they do everything they're told, and they still fail. Now,
okay, you just changed the subject again, Glenn.
I haven't changed the subject.
You did not answer the question, Glenn. Answer the question, Glenn.
Okay, so hang on. Let me get this straight. You're saying that there's a high percentage of people who just don't do anything, and that's why they fail.
I know that there's a high percentage that don't do anything. I was in Amway for 12 years. I know that.
Okay, but it's not 99%. That's the point. So let's say you're right.
I didn't say it was 99. Glenn, I did not say it was 99%. I said it's 2/3 to 3/4.
Oh, sorry.
That's 66 to 75%.
So that still means there's still, even by your logic, there's still 30 or 35% of people who are making extreme effort and still failing.
No, most of those people that put in some effort
Yeah.
did not make extreme effort. They put in partial effort.
Okay.
Some of them tried really hard, but most of them that even stayed in for more than 1 year did not try really, really hard. They were just doing whatever they were doing, but it was nowhere near enough to accumulate a downline.
Well,
And so
what's promised to a lot of people is that they can do this as a side hustle in their spare time, a few hours a week. There's lots and lots of examples on YouTube and on other platforms of uplines promising, a couple of hours a week, you can make, so much money. So maybe that's the problem. Maybe the problem is also the fact that we've got uplines making these ridiculous promises. I think the reality is, I think the most honest thing that's ever been said by a top MLM person is Dexter Yeager, who talked about doing it 5 and 6 nights a week. Do we agree there that that's the reality? If you want to make it in a business like Amway, you need to do it 5 and 6 nights a week, which is full time, because to show the plan to one person a week would take a lot of effort, but to get 5 or 6, you would need to be prospecting all day long. It would need to be a full-time job.
Well, I don't think Yeager was, when he said that, I don't think he was referring to a single individual with no downline. I think he was referring to not only trying to find personal downline, but also helping your other people in your downline to help them put people in their business, and they're therefore also in your business, right? Because your downline's downline is also in your downline. And so 5 and 6 nights a week is based on more than just one individual out there prospecting. It's that individual plus their downline, however many it is.
But
Dexter did say that, and I do believe you have to do that, because the only way you can build up a scam is to work extremely hard at it. There's no way you can build an illegal pyramid, which is lack of retail sales, and a RICO fraud, which is the tool scam, without working extremely hard. You have to work extremely hard in order to make those two barriers become overcomable, if you will, if that's a word. So yes, you do have to work very hard in order to perpetuate a scam, no doubt.
So do you agree with me that of all the top diamonds, uplines, he's the one who's saying the most honest remark when he says 5 and 6 nights a week? That's what's required. Anyone who
that's a very honest. That's probably about the only honest thing Dexter Yeager ever said.
And he said that. It's interesting too. Dexter Yeager said that only at events where he knew that the people there were already in. They were already really, really committed and in. That's not shown to people when they're prospected. That's only shown and told to people when they're firmly in. When someone's on the fence, when someone's undecided, they do not say 5 and 6 nights a week. They say you can do this in your spare time, working around your full-time job. But can we please go back?
Okay, so let me give you a personal analogy to that. Okay, when I went off to college, I had no idea how hard I would have to work. I had to work very hard. I made it through. I got my electrical engineering degree. And then when I went into the Navy, nobody told me that you're going to have to, for 6 months at a nuclear reactor prototype, you're going to have to work 12-hour shifts. They're going to be rotating 12-hour shifts. You're going to have to ride on a bus for an hour and a half each way. And it's going to be miserable. Nobody told me that up front. And so just because MLMs don't tell you everything up front, that's not the major problem. Because do you consider the Navy a scam because they didn't tell me how hard it would be?
Were you paid in full for every shift you did?
Pardon me?
You were paid in full for every shift you did at the Navy. Yeah, it may have been hard work. It may have been harder than what you were expecting, but
you just missed the point. Glenn, you just missed the point.
No, I think it's a very
What if they had told me all that stuff before I started, and then I may not have joined? All right. So does that make the Navy a scam? Yes or no?
No, it doesn't make the Navy a scam. Absolutely.
Okay, so
You'll
so
pay
the
for
fact that
every shift.
MLMs do a similar thing, they typically say, 10 to 15 hours a week, something like that. But then it takes a lot more than that. How
MLM
is that
say
any different? How is that any different?
MLM say it is impossible to fail if you do the work. They say it's impossible to fail. The Navy pays you every single moment that you worked at the Navy. You're being paid for. You're on a wage. You did your time and you were paid. Um, it's completely different. To compare the
Well, it's
Navy
different. It's
with
different that it's commission
MLMs.
versus a salary, but there's commission jobs outside of MLM also. And so just because it's a commission doesn't make it
Commission
evil.
commission with a retainer. If you sell cars or you sell houses, you get a retainer. So if you're working, as you guys call them, realtors, we call them real estate agents. If every single moment that you're working as a real estate agent, even if you make zero sales, you're being paid. It may not be a great rate of pay, not as good as if you sell houses, but if you're working as a real estate agent or a realtor, you're being paid for every moment you're there.
I think it
Amway.
depends on the company. I think in some companies that's true. I think in other companies it's not true. You only get paid for when you sell a house.
Now here in
So when
Australia,
you make these blanket statements, you better be prepared to
no,
prove it.
I'm making a blanket statement. In Australia, every single real estate agent, you call them realtors, every single moment they're there, they're being paid a retainer. Okay, now if you work for a real estate company and you don't sell a single house, you're still going to get paid for every single day that you're there.
In Australia.
Correct. In Australia, I don't know what it is in
Okay.
America, but I know here, and the same for car salespeople. There's no job or situation that is comparable to MLMs where you are a 99 point something percent chance of earning zero. And in fact, not just earning zero, but losing money. So it's wrong to compare real estate agents or car salespeople with MLM distributors. Can you see
In
my
Australia.
in Australia? I don't know what it is in America, but I'm guessing it's the same. I'd find it very hard to believe that you got realtors in the USA or Canada working without a retainer, but you guys have got very different workplace relation laws to what we do.
Well, there's more than just real estate agents too, right? There's lots of companies out there, a lot of different industries, and I believe some of them are still pure commission type positions.
Okay.
So it's not just real estate. You have to look at everything. But the bottom line is, every MLM is an independent contractor, and the understanding from the very beginning
Yep.
is that you're not being paid an hourly wage. You're only paid based on your productivity.
Yes, but
And so that's not a mystery.
they think
That's not a
it's
mystery at all.
agreed, but they think and they're being told that it is impossible to fail if you follow this magical system. And that is quite simply not true. There are people who do exactly what they're told. They follow this system to the letter. They work really hard and they still make zero. So it is an absolute lie to say what Dexter Yeager said on American 60 Minutes. Nobody fails, people quit. It's impossible to fail. The only way you can fail is if you quit. That's completely and utterly wrong. It's a deliberate lie. It's misleading. It's fraud. To me, you can't. There's no dispute that anyone who says it's impossible to fail if you follow the system, or nobody fails, they quit. That's a lie. That's that's a dead set, flat out, deliberate lie. Yeah. Can we get back though to Vince though, real quick?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.